Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm sorry we were not able to meet this week because of the climate changes. However, I will try to capture everything that we were supposed to do this week. So, if you recall, last week when we were discussing about the OSI model, OSI was the conceptual model which is utilized in order for you to understand whenever you make a request from your computer to access some website or do some any kind of communication from your computer to another service that you want to utilize. It passes through the OSI layer where application is the protocol which helps you to decide what kind of service you want to utilize, whether it is mail, you will use SMTP. If it is a file transfer, you will use FTP. If it is a web traffic, it will be HTTP. And once it goes from the application, it goes to the presentation layer where you encrypt the packet. Then a session is created between the source and the destination, followed by the transport layer, which introduces the port number where the service is being hosted on. Then at the network layer, there is IP address, which is introduced at data link layer. MAC address is introduced and followed at the physical layer where the bit by bit transfer happens. So if you recall, in order for us to understand this communication, we used Wireshark, and Wireshark helps us to see how exactly a web traffic is generated from our machine whenever we are doing any kind of traffic monitoring from our systems. So we also discussed about firewalls and gateways, and we also discussed about some other CIA trade associated on this OSI model. So moving next, I wanted you to understand there is another tool which is called as Network Mapper, which is an open source tool which is available for network exploration, management, and doing some kind of auditing, security auditing. You can use this particular command for discovering the host and the services on a computer network and to understand their configuration. So in order for you to utilize this Nmap command, you need to first install this. So let me open the Wireshark and our virtual machine. So I have opened the Wireshark. If you recall that if I want to understand how the packet is being transmitted, I can select one packet. Here I have frame information, which is how exactly the transfer of payload happens, which is 2840 bits were generated, which is at the physical layer and which was on this interface. Then Ethernet 2 gives me the MAC address associated. So the source was this MAC address, destination was this. IP is the network layer, which gives me the source IP address, destination IP address. Then TCP is the protocol, which is utilized at the transport layer. And at the transport layer, I can see which are the port numbers which are utilized in order to do this HTTP traffic. And then hypertext transfer protocol gives me the information that this was an HTTP traffic, versus if I select another traffic, I have applied right now the current filter as HTTP. So that's the reason it is giving me all this information. Okay. So now for you to understand certain kind of this Nmap, what exactly it does. So let me open my terminal over here and let me first install Nmap. So if you want to install Nmap, you will write sudo apt, which is application manager, get install, and then Nmap, and it will install the network mapper in this case. Then what you are supposed to do is, if you want to write down certain commands, you can write down the, if you want to reach out to a destination address you want to scan your target host or network, how would you do that? So here in this case, if you will see that the source IP address was 10.0.2.15 versus the destination was 34. I'll just quit it and let me open another terminal. Sorry. I'll open another terminal. Where is that? So this is, I will also have my Wireshark run over here. So it will capture the network traffic from this interface which is available. So I'll start monitoring some information over here. I will stop the network traffic over here, and you will see that there was some kind of communication which is happening, some TCP um, uh, packets were generated and some other kind of information which was generated. So I can filter that. I just want to utilize see TCP packet. I can see HTTP traffic uh, which was from my source to destination. Now, if I want to see what exactly this whether this destination port was available for me to communicate. So I'll once again open my terminal over here. And here what I can do is I can write down the IP address which I want to check. So I'll just write 107.221.82. And if you will see that the command that is utilized is nmap followed by, where is it? Not so, sorry. Nmap, then followed by the destination, my target IP address. So here in this case, it says that the host is up. The open port number, which is over here, is 80 for HTTP traffic, for monitoring HTTP traffic, versus if I want to monitor HTTPS traffic, then 443 port is available. If I want to know the target operating system, I can even write -o, but this requires me some privileges. So I can just write sudo nmap and it will run this. Since we are doing this on our virtual machine, it will give me, it is a bridge network. And I think, yeah, and it says that it is a bridge net device because we are hosting on virtual box. If you were trying to access this on your host machine, it will be, you would be able to know the operating system where this target is being where you are trying to access this target. If you want to scan a particular port, once again you will write sudo nmap and then -p. We can ignore sudo because it doesn't require for me to access a particular port. So I will say nmap -p, which is the port, followed by the port number, which in this case is 80, and followed by the IP address of the destination. And once again, it says that host seems down. If it is really up, but blocking our ping probes, try this. So it is telling me that this particular host is down. Let me just try to access some other packet, which in this case is TCP. And this time I will write down this destination IP address. So I will once again say, let's see, the port address, which is associated, destination port is once again 80. So nmap -p 80, followed by the IP address, which in this case is 104.16.248.249. So it says that the host is up and the available service, which is available over here, is HTTP. One IP address was scanned. So you can access all this information. You can verify this. This was hosted on if I want to check F443 is the IP, the host port address associated with the HTTPS traffic. So you can check whether this particular port is open or not. So all of this information you can do it using this network mapper, which is another open source tool which is available. Now moving next to this, let's see. Next are some of the attacks that can happen on this OSI model when you are transferring the information from one place to another. The very first prominent attack that can happen is packet sniffing, where there is an attacker or malware in between, and it is trying to sniff or understand or eavesdrop the information which is being transmitted from one computer to another computer. So here in this case, if you will see that B is trying to communicate with A, and B has its the destination address, which is in this case is A. The source address is B over here, and there is a payload. C is in between the A and B, which is trying to communicate, and C sniffs the B's packet in between. And when it sniffs the packet, it can understand what exactly is being communicated from source B to destination A. In order for us to get rid of this kind of packet sniffing is that you can utilize ingress filtering, where the routers should be, where you can apply some kind of check at the network layer or at the firewall layer, where you can say that I do not want, if the destination IP address is not this, do not forward the packets to somewhere else. So there is this kind of countermeasure which you can apply, which is called as ingress filtering. So packet sniffing is one of the very prominent attacks that can happen. Another kind of attack that can happen on this when you transmit packets from one network to another network is IP spoofing, where where the attacker in between can spoof itself as the destination. So once again, here B tries to communicate with the A, and C, which is in between, tries to spoof its identity and pretend to be B for A. And it can send some kind of rubbish information to A. So which in this case is IP spoofing, that you are pretending to be someone, and where the IP address is spoofed. In the last case, you were sniffing the packet, which could be IP packets. You can sniff the packets which are being transmitted. IP spoofing, you spoof the identity of the IP address, which is at the network layer. So here in this case, some of the way that you can have this IP spoofing being monitored is that you the organization can periodically run some software in interfaces, especially in some hidden mode. And in this case, the attacker cannot understand whether it was being transmitted, whether how exactly this happens is that it can allow some to run some, whether these are valid packets or valid IP addresses or not, which can be done through this IP spoofing in order for us to check. So that's one way or one kind of attack that can happen. Another kind of attack is denial of service attack, which is once again at the availability issue. Here what happens is that B wants to send some packets to A, but C in between continuously starts sending some SYN packets. Recall that SYN packets, we were understanding a three-way communication between three-way protocol, which was associated with TCP, which is connection oriented. In that case, it can continuously send SYN packets in order to block the network. And the way that you can monitor is that you can filter out this flooded packet before reaching host, throw out good or bad. Once you can monitor using Wireshark, we can monitor if continuously SYN packets were being sent or not. And this would help you to understand whether a denial of service attack has been happening if you continuously monitor your network addresses. So there are some questions. I would like you to go through the slide deck to see if you are able to answer these questions, which would help you to understand if you have understood the concepts or not. And we can discuss these answers once we meet, if you are able to not, if you're not able to answer these questions. In the next recording, I will start talking about another topic, which is OS security and access control. So I'll post another recording now. Thank you, everyone.